Good morning. As I find myself situated here in that coveted position of standing between you and your lunch break, I'll dive straight in, but I'll try to leave some time for questions at the end. Here at Seminole State College, we developed the Academic Success Center Outreach Program with a couple of specific goals in mind. Like many of the other presentations, we wanted to increase student engagement with academic support services and also to have a focus on improving student performance outcomes. But we also were really interested in leveraging our existing resources to enhance our services without increasing our operating costs. And so our purpose was really to create a dynamic mechanism for fostering innovation. All these ideas that we've heard in the presentations today demonstrate the great innovation that can happen when multiple people are brought together. And so we wanted a mechanism to foster innovation, to lead to the development of multiple course and program specific support strategies. And so we really used three key ideas to build our program. The first you see is to strategically identify support targets. We leverage data from institutional research, from our annual program evaluation process. Targets could be identified by program managers, by department chairs. Even faculty could bring us ideas where they think that we should be working to develop support initiatives. But the second pillar here is really that our effort is founded in the establishment of relationships. We all see the silo effect of higher education, right? But we didn't want to develop initiatives that were external to the academic environment. We wanted to bring everybody together, all the interested parties, and let the academic support team serve in a consultative role. So we could hear the interests of the faculty, the interests from academic leadership, and we could report back recommendations and suggestions. But the key thing was bringing faculty in and making sure that faculty had a voice in this, that they had a leadership role in the things that we developed. And then the third pillar was whatever initiatives we developed, we knew that we wanted those to be specifically course integrated initiatives. This would ensure that the work that we were doing was applicable to the students, it was relevant to the work that they were doing, and maybe more importantly was that our efforts would be specifically aligned to faculty goals and to the teaching that was happening within the courses. And by doing that, by having that partnership with faculty, we were able to ensure that our work was supporting the intended rigor that the faculty wanted to infuse in their programs and their courses and not undercut it. So what we really have developed here is an incubator for innovation. And our efforts have created a productive pathway for collaboration and for fostering positive conversations that really tear down those silos. It removes the territorialism that sometimes we see occur and allows us to kind of really focus on institutional goals. So the way that we do this is there's really four principles when we're looking at creating a support initiative. And those are that faculty have to be integrated in the conversation. They have to be given a leadership role. So we use a distributed leadership model so that faculty are allowed to have ownership. They're the content area experts, and the course design ultimately is up to them. And so they get a significant voice in how we proceed in developing our initiatives. Second, we always place a focus on enhancing student engagement, but also on making sure that our efforts are promoting learning and student performance outcomes. And so, students often, kind of want an easy path and want help, but we have to define that in a strategic way that is aligned to our faculty and to our classes. Third, all of our efforts have to embrace the inclusion of all students. So irrespective of social factors that individuals might be facing. Some students come with different levels of academic preparation. So all of these things are taken into account. We want all students to be able to gain access and have opportunities to work with our programs. And fourth, we want to maximize student engagement, but at the same time, we really have to maintain a focus on cost efficiency. I don't think we're the only ones facing some challenges in the higher education finance world right now. So cost efficiency is always a concern. So just to highlight a couple of the initiatives, and it looks like maybe my slides didn't line up the way I wanted, but A couple of big initiatives that came out of this effort was to implement an embedded tutoring model. And so a lot of our embedded tutors are focused on our general ed courses, our gateway courses, those courses where institutional research helps to identify. We have large enrollments, relatively low course success rates, and the tutor is embedded as a partner for the faculty. They work collaboratively to assist with classwork, with facilitating activities, but their main focus is actually on establishing relationships with the students. We've tried very hard to move our academic support efforts away from a transactional model of education where students are being delivered information and what they do with that is up to them. We've tried to transition towards a relational model where the students understand they have partners in this thing called education and that we're going to work with them and support them through this, because many of our students simply don't understand how to be students. They don't know how to navigate the college environment, and maybe their academic foundation coming out of secondary, it's been many years, or maybe they just didn't find a lot of success. And so they have partners in the classrooms. The faculty are partners to our tutors, and the interactions we have are specific to what's going on in the class, to the professor's instruction, to the homeworks, to the assignments that are coming up. We largely leverage student workers, and so we're able to keep our cost quite low for doing this. And when you think about a class having up to 25 or 30 students, we may only expend $250 a semester to embed a tutor in a course for the entire semester. And so there's a real cost efficiency associated with those types of programs. Another initiative that came out of this was our biology mock lab. And this is something I've presented a couple times at FCLCA, kind of talking about the way we've done this. But this was the first initiative that came out of our ASC Outreach program. And it happened when institutional research noticed that more than half the students who enrolled in general biology weren't successful. And so we took a team of academic support staff members, and we met with the department chair and a few faculty out of the biological sciences, and we just had a broad conversation about the context of the class. What were the course structures like? What were the assignments? And where did they see students facing challenges? And so in the course, students take 2 rounds of lab practical exams. And for many of the students, they had never experienced anything like that before. And what we realized was the content itself wasn't necessarily the challenge, but the fact that these exams had 25 stations, students had 90 seconds at each station, and when the bell rang, they had to move to the next one. They weren't used to that high stakes, intense environment. And so we worked with the faculty to simulate that. And in our new space that was recently developed, we've actually built a mock laboratory space into the facility. And so we have that running for biological sciences, for anatomy and physiology, for our chemistry courses. Because it's within our learning centers on all of our campuses, it costs us nothing in terms of labor cost to do this. And we worked with faculty to develop the stations, so we weren't providing the exact questions, but we knew that the faculty were helping us to align what the students were experiencing in terms of content with what was reasonable for them to be assessed on. All of us are trying to provide online tutoring, and I know many of us do contract third-party vendors to do this, and Seminole State does as well, to provide that comprehensive 365 kind of coverage. But our faculty wanted something that was more specifically contextualized to their courses. And so we leveraged a lot of our embedded tutors from the other initiative to provide online sessions at night, over the weekends. And this could serve our distance learning students, which is, I don't know about you, but for us, it's our fastest growing enrollment area is distance learning. And so finding ways to be able to provide online services to those students, or working adults who couldn't make it in, or folks who have family challenges that they don't have time to drop into the physical centers. And you can see the list of classes that we've been able to do this with. And again, largely using student workers, these sessions cost us less than $20 per session. Our student workers are paid somewhere around $9 an hour, and we typically get between 5 and 10 students in an online session. But because those sessions are customized to specific courses, all the students in there are working on the same content. The questions they have are relevant to everyone, and so the session is really productive in a one-to-many paradigm, and that's how we're really able to get some efficiency out of it. And occasionally the faculty will even drop into those sessions, and they're not required to be there, but they choose to jump in and just get engaged in the conversation. And so all of these initiatives were really about building community and building relationships. So some of the other initiatives, before I really start talking about outcomes, I highlighted those three because those are kind of our large volume initiatives, but just some really great ideas come out of this incubator. We've developed an analogical reasoning series for our legal studies program, which is really fascinating to watch. Our writing consultants have partnered with the library, which you'll hear from our library director later today. They've developed a research writing roadmap to support students in our allied health sciences program. We built lunch and learn sessions to work with dosage calculation in our pharmacy tech program and nursing programs. Our early alert program, we were able to enhance by putting some embedded coaches, academic coaches, in that. And another really fascinating initiative that came out of this was we developed a mock trial that occurs at the end of each semester, and that's a partnership between our legal studies program and our public safety group. The public safety students learn how to draft their reports and their records, because those could be entered as documents in court cases. And then the legal studies students get to leverage those documents in their proceedings to try their cases. So lots of neat innovation coming out of this incubator. Some of the results you can see on the screen here. So the ASC Outreach program is just one subdivision of our overall academic support efforts. But this past academic year, we had more than 17,000 student interactions just with that program. And to give that some context, you can see on the second bullet point, overall participation with all academic support functions at the college increased from 29,000 interactions to over 57,000 interactions. And for an institution that's around a 21,000 student FTE, we're engaging over about a third of the student body population. And none of this is compulsory. So it's pretty impressive that students are voluntarily engaging with these things. And we attribute that to the applicability of being integrated with the courses. The students realize that it's relevant to them. We've had increases in GPA, increases in average pass rates. And you can see there in the second main area, embedded tutoring, we're up to supporting over 100 sections. But a key feature of this outreach program is everything starts as a grassroots initiative. We usually pilot test with just one or two faculty, and we let this organically develop and grow as it goes. And by bringing faculty into the conversation, by bringing academic leadership into the conversation, these are remarkably productive and positive interactions. There's no finger pointing, there's no territorialism. Everything's focused on creating a constructive pathway towards student success. The mock lab, it started with just 3 faculty and each willing to test it out provisionally with just one section. We get over 70% of all students enrolled in Gen Bio 1 participating in our mock lab now. And students who participate in both rounds, they average over an 80% course success rate, which is a huge increase over the historic average. Yeah, they're really high numbers. Especially for such an intense course like that. And then, the annual academic support expenditures, I didn't expect this. Our goal was to try not to increase our budget, but we've been able to convert a number of our other efforts and really gain efficiency by corralling them into these targeted ventures. We've actually reduced our annual expenditure by $68,000 over the last 3 years. And that's within the context of almost doubling the amount of student participation. And so, that really overwhelmed by the amount of students engaging, the number of faculty, the relationships we now have across the faculty and the administration, departments all across the college, and to be able to reduce our budget in a time when that's really helpful to the institution. Well, in truth, I don't know about you. I've been in higher ed for 15 years. I can't remember a good budget year, but that seems to be really relevant right now, is to keep costs under control. Right. So our ASC Outreach program, it's an innovation incubator, and that's really the proposal that I wanted to talk about today. I mean, there's a lot of different initiatives that I've heard, and all of you have fantastic ideas, and I've seen that over the years at conferences. Our idea was, how can we capture all of that energy on campus and bring all of these brilliant minds together and maintain that innovation. And so that's what we think that we've done. And more impressively, we've been able to reduce our operating costs while doing it. You can see my contact information on there. I'll be presenting on a similar topic. Yeah, never a good budget year, right, Alexis? I'll be presenting at FCLCA, but I want to thank the AFC Learning Resource Commission for hosting this conference and providing this opportunity. Really great information here, and I'm just really happy to be a part of it. So, I think I'm a few minutes early, Brett. So if there's any questions, I can take those. But you can always contact me directly. For those of you who know me, you know that I'm always happy to get into the conversation and share ideas. So please feel free to reach out. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. We have about 5 minutes for questions. So if anybody has questions, we'll type them in.
All right, well, thank you for all the positive feedback, folks. So, if anyone does have any questions, you can always just private message me, or you can always give me a call. So,